"If you can get those four to sleep, I'll give you my salary," said the millionaire to the single cowboy. Daniel Thompson never imagined his quiet life in the ranching country of Montana would be turned upside down by such an outrageous offer. The elegant woman who had appeared on his ranch that hot March afternoon was offering an amount he'd never seen in his life. "If you can get these four little girls to sleep in a single night, I'll pay you my monthly salary," said Victoria Reynolds, adjusting her expensive suit that clashed with the simplicity of the rural setting. Daniel removed his leather cowboy hat and ran a hand through his graying hair. At 52, he'd raised horses, broken wild colts, and survived devastating droughts. How could four little girls be harder than that? "And how much would that salary be, Miss Victoria?" he asked, eyeing the imported car parked near the corral. $15,000, she replied without blinking. The cowboy nearly choked on his own spit. That amount was more than he made in 6 months selling milk and cheese at the town farmer's market. He looked at the four girls running around the yard, screaming and laughing loudly, dressed in expensive clothes already smudged with dirt. "And why can't you get them to sleep?" Victoria averted her gaze, watching her daughter's children playing far from her. "They've been kicked out of 3 different boarding schools in the last 2 months. They haven't slept properly in weeks. I'm desperate." Daniel noticed the hesitation in her voice. There was more to this story, but the money was speaking louder right now. His ranch needed urgent repairs. The tractor had been broken for months and bills were piling up. "All right, Miss Victoria, I accept the challenge." The four girls stopped running when they heard the conversation. The oldest, who looked about 7, eyed the man in the hat suspiciously. "Grandma, you're leaving us here with this stranger?" asked Emma, the sharpest of the triplets. "Just for one night, sweetheart. I'll come get you first thing tomorrow," Victoria replied, avoiding her granddaughter's gaze. "You always say that," murmured Olivia, one of the triplets kicking a small rock. "And then you never come back," added Ava, the third triplet. The fourth girl, Lily, the youngest and cousin to the other 3, just watched silently, clutching a worn-out teddy bear. Daniel sensed the tension in the air. These kids weren't just mischievous. There was hurt and abandonment in their little eyes, something he knew all too well. "Well, girls, how about you come see my house? I've got some horses you might like," he said, trying to break the ice. "Real horses?" Emma asked, her eyes lighting up for the first time. "Of course, and cows, chickens, even a little pig named Bacon." The girls giggled at the funny name, and Daniel felt he'd found his first opening. Victoria watched from a distance, her face unreadable. She seemed to want to say something, but held back. "I'll be staying at the town hotel. Here's my card. Call me if there's any trouble," she said, handing Daniel an elegant business card. "Don't worry, Miss Victoria. By morning, these girls will be well rested and ready for whatever you need." But as the imported car disappeared down the dirt road, leaving only a cloud of dust behind, Daniel realized 4 pairs of teary eyes were fixed on him. "She's not coming back," Olivia said, her voice trembling. "She never comes back," Ava agreed. "Mommy and Daddy don't come back either," Lily whispered, squeezing her teddy bear tighter. "All grown-ups lie," Emma concluded, trying to sound tougher than the others. Daniel felt a tightness in his chest. These girls carried a pain he knew too well. The pain of abandonment, of loneliness, of having no one to trust. "Look here, girls," he said, crouching down to their level. "I don't know what happened to you before, but as long as you're here with me, I promise I'll take care of you. And when I make a promise, I keep it." "All grown-ups say that," Emma retorted. "That's true, but I'm different." "Want to know why?" "Because I know what it's like to have no one." The girls looked at him curiously. "I lost my parents when I was your age. I know how much it hurts when adults make promises and don't keep them. That's why I only promise what I can deliver." There was a moment of silence. Then Lily stepped forward timidly. "Will you take care of us until Grandma comes back?" "I will, little one, and if she doesn't come back tomorrow, I'll take care of you until she does." "What if she never comes back?" Olivia asked. Michael swallowed hard. That possibility hadn't crossed his mind. "Then we'll talk about it when the time comes, okay?" The girls exchanged glances as if they shared a secret language. Finally, Emma nodded. "Okay, but we don't fall asleep easily." "I can imagine," How about we start by meeting the animals? Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. The rest of the afternoon flew by. The girls were enchanted by the horses, especially a gentle brown mare named Cinnamon, who was incredibly sweet. Michael noticed they had a natural way with animals, as if they understood their silent language. "Why is she so nice?" Ava asked, stroking Cinnamon's muzzle. "Because she knows you have good hearts," Michael replied. "Animals sense these things." "Do you think she can tell we're sad?" Olivia asked. "Absolutely. And do you know why you're sad?" The triplets exchanged glances again. Lily hugged her teddy bear tighter. "Because Mommy and Daddy went away again," Emma said. "They always leave." "And Grandma doesn't like us," Ava added. "She does too," Lily defended. "She just doesn't know how to show it." "Lily always sticks up for everyone," Olivia explained to Michael. "She's the sweetest." Michael studied the four girls. Each had her own distinct personality. Emma, the natural leader, always trying to protect the others. Olivia and Ava, the middle triplets, always together like two halves of one person. And Lily, the youngest and most sensitive, trying to keep the peace. "How about helping me milk the cows?" he suggested. "Can we?" Emma asked excitedly. "Of course, but first let's wash those hands." He led them to the sink outside the house. It was a simple setup, but clean and cozy. The girls observed everything with curiosity. "Do you live here all alone?" Olivia asked. "I do. Have for a long time." "Don't you get lonely?" Ava asked. Michael paused, considering the question. "Sometimes, but I've got the animals for company." "Animals don't talk," Emma pointed out. "You'd be surprised. They do talk, just not with words." "What do you mean?" Lily asked, intrigued. "Take Cinnamon, for example. When she shakes her head a certain way, she's saying she's happy. When she taps her hoof, she's hungry. When she pricks her ears forward, she's paying attention to something." The girls were fascinated by this explanation. During milking, they watched the cows' every move, trying to decipher their conversation. "Uncle Michael," Olivia said suddenly, "how did you learn all this?" "My dad taught me when I was little, like you." "And where is he now?" Ava asked. "In heaven," Michael answered simply. "Like Grandpa," Lily said. "Mommy said he went to heaven when we were still babies." "That's probably why Grandma gets sad," Emma observed. "Mommy gets sad when she talks about Grandpa." Michael realized he was starting to understand the situation better. Victoria had lost her husband and probably didn't know how to handle the pain. Maybe that's why she kept her distance from her granddaughters, to avoid getting attached and hurting again. Night fell quickly. Michael prepared a simple dinner: rice, beans, free-range chicken, and garden salad. The girls ate with an appetite that surprised him. "Didn't you eat well at the boarding schools?" he asked. "The food was bad," said Emma, making a face. "And the other kids were mean," added Olivia. "They said we didn't have a mommy or daddy," Ava whispered, her eyes glistening. "But you do," Michael replied. "They're just traveling, right?" The girls fell silent for a long moment. "Uncle Michael," Emma finally said, "can I tell you a secret?" "Of course." "I think Mommy and Daddy aren't just traveling." "Why do you think that?" "Because before they left, they fought a lot. And when we ask when they're coming back, all the grown-ups act weird." Michael's stomach tightened. These kids were sharper than the adults realized. "And you're worried about it?" "A lot," Olivia admitted. "We can't sleep thinking about it," Ava said. "Did they break up?" Lily asked in a tiny voice. Michael didn't know how to answer. He didn't want to lie, but he also didn't want to make their anxiety worse. "You know what I think?" he finally said. "I think grown-ups sometimes overcomplicate things that could be simple. But one thing I'm sure of, all of you are very loved." "How do you know?" Emma asked. "Because I see it in your eyes. Kids who are loved have a special sparkle, and you have that sparkle even when you're sad." "Even when we misbehave?" Ava asked. "Especially when you misbehave," Michael laughed. "It means you've got personality." The girls giggled too, and Michael felt he was on the right track. After dinner, He helped them bathe and put on the pajamas Miss Victoria had left. Then came the moment he knew would be tough, getting all four to sleep. "All right, girls, bedtime." "Already?" Emma asked. "Emma, it's still early," Olivia protested. "What if we have nightmares?" Ava asked. "We always have nightmares," Lily whispered. Michael realized he'd underestimated things. These kids really struggled with sleep. "How about a bedtime story?" he suggested. "What kind of story?" Emma asked skeptically. "What kind do you like?" "Adventure," said Olivia. "Princesses," said Ava. "Animals," said Lily. "Real stuff," said Emma. Michael smiled. Each had her own clear preferences. "How about a story about a real adventure that happened right here on this ranch, with animals and maybe even a princess?" The girls exchanged glances, intrigued. "Okay," Emma said, trying not to sound too eager. Michael led them to the guest room, which he'd prepared carefully. He'd pushed 2 twin beds together with plenty of pillows and blankets. "Why are the beds so close?" Olivia asked. "Because I thought you'd want to be near each other, am I right?" "Yeah," all four exclaimed at once. They settled into the makeshift bed, Lily in the middle, the triplets around her, each clutching their teddy bears. "All right, now I'll tell you the story of Princess Cinnamon and the 4 magical guardians." "Is Cinnamon the brown mare?" Ava asked. "Exactly. You're sharp." Michael began weaving a tale about how the mare Cinnamon was actually an enchanted princess and how 4 brave girls came to the ranch to help break her curse. As he spoke, he watched the girls' little faces gradually relax, but when he got to the part about the spell being broken, Emma fidgeted uneasily. "What if the spell can't be broken?" she asked. "Why wouldn't it be?" Daniel replied. "Sometimes things can't be fixed," she said with a sadness that didn't match her age. "Emma, what do you think can't be fixed?" The girl stayed silent for a long moment. "When grown-ups stop loving each other," she finally whispered. Daniel felt his heart tighten. This 7-year-old was carrying a weight she shouldn't have to bear. "Emma, can I tell you all a secret?" "You can," the 4 said in unison. "Sometimes grown-ups get confused and think they've stopped loving each other. But really, they've just forgotten how to show love. It's different." "How so?" Olivia asked. "Do you remember when you were babies and cried to get attention?" "No," they giggled. "Well, you did that because you didn't know how to talk yet. Grown-ups are kind of like that sometimes. They feel things but don't know how to talk about them." "So they fight?" Ava asked. "Sometimes, yes, but that doesn't mean they've stopped loving each other." "So Mommy and Daddy still love each other?" Lily asked hopefully. Daniel hesitated. He didn't want to give false hope, but he also didn't want to crush their faith. "I don't know your parents, sweetheart, but I do know they love you 4 very, very much." "How do you know?" Emma asked, still doubtful. "Because if they didn't, you wouldn't be such special girls." "We're special?" Ava asked. "Very special. You're brave, smart, kind, and strong. That only happens when a child is deeply loved." The girls smiled, and Daniel realized he'd touched on something important. "Now should we finish the story of Princess Cinnamon?" He continued the tale, but noticed the girls were growing more restless, not more relaxed. They shifted in bed, whispered to each other, and clearly weren't sleepy. "Uncle Daniel," Olivia suddenly said, "can we tell you something?" "Of course." "We can't sleep because we've been having bad dreams." "What kind of dreams?" "We dream that we're lost," Ava said. "And that no one comes looking for us," Emma added. "And that we're alone forever," Lily whispered. Daniel understood immediately. These children were suffering from abandonment anxiety. It wasn't mischief or tantrums. It was real, deep, traumatic fear. "Girls, do you want to know something?" "Do you want to?" "Those bad dreams have a name. They're called nightmares, and everyone has them sometimes." "Everyone?" Emma asked. "Everyone. Even me." "You have nightmares?" Olivia asked, surprised. "I do. Sometimes I dream the animals get sick and I can't help them." "And what do you do?" Ava asked. "I get up, go to the stable and check that they're okay. Then the fear goes away." "But we can't check if our parents are okay," Lily pointed out. "That's true. But you can check one thing, that while you're here, you're safe." "How?" Emma asked. Daniel thought for a moment. How about we make a deal? If you have nightmares, you can call me. I'll come here and stay with you until the fear passes." "Really?" Olivia asked. "Really, and more, if you want you can sleep with the door open so you know I'm right nearby." "What if we wake up in the middle of the night?" Ava asked. "You can call me. I wake up easily." "What if we want a glass of water?" Lily asked. "You can call me for that too." The girls seemed calmer with these promises. "Now how about we try something?" Daniel suggested. "Let's take deep breaths together, like horses do when they're tired." He taught the girls a simple breathing technique, inhaling through the nose and exhaling slowly through the mouth. To his surprise, they focused on the activity. "Now let's close our eyes and imagine we're in the pasture with Cinnamon on a warm, sunny day." Daniel continued guiding a relaxing visualization, his voice growing softer and calmer. Gradually, the girls' breathing deepened, but just when he thought they were nearly asleep, Emma stirred again. "Uncle Daniel?" she whispered. "Yes?" "Is Grandma really coming back tomorrow?" Daniel hesitated. There was something about Victoria's behavior that unsettled him, though he couldn't pinpoint what. "She said she'd be back," he replied. "But what if she doesn't come?" "Emma, why do you think she won't?" "Because..." The girl paused as if deciding whether to trust him. "You can tell me, sweetheart, because she never stays with us for long. She always finds a way to send us away." The other girls silently nodded in agreement. "She doesn't like us," said Olivia. "She gets nervous when we're around," added Ava. "She cries sometimes when she thinks we aren't looking," whispered Lily. Daniel felt he was beginning to understand the situation better. Victoria wasn't a mean or cruel grandma. She was dealing with her own grief and didn't know how to connect with her granddaughters. "Girls, do you know what I think? I think your grandma is sad, just like you." "Why?" asked Emma. "Sometimes adults get sad when they lose people they love, and when they're sad they pull away from others because they're afraid of getting hurt again." "What do you mean?" asked Olivia. "It's like when you get hurt while playing. At first you don't want to play that game again because you're scared of getting hurt." "Oh," said Ava. "Like when I fell from the tree and was afraid to climb again." "Exactly. But with adults, sometimes they're afraid to love people because they think it might hurt." "But loving doesn't hurt," Lily observed. "You're right, sweetheart. Loving doesn't hurt. What hurts is losing someone you love." "Like when Grandpa went to heaven?" asked Emma. "Exactly. Maybe your grandma is so afraid of feeling that pain again that she'd rather stay away from you." "But that's silly," said Olivia. "We're not going to heaven anytime soon." Daniel smiled at the childlike logic. "It is silly, but sometimes adults do silly things when they're scared." "So Grandma is scared of us?" asked Ava. "Not scared of you. Scared of loving you and then getting hurt." "That's sad," said Lily. "It is sad. That's why you need to be patient with her." "How can we help?" asked Emma. Daniel was struck by the maturity of this 7-year-old. "By being yourselves, showing her that you're amazing people who deserve to be loved." "We've tried that," said Olivia. "It didn't work. Sometimes it takes a while, but don't give up." The girls fell silent for a few minutes, processing the conversation. "Uncle Daniel," Lily finally said, "do you think our parents will come back?" Daniel knew this was the hardest question, and his answer could deeply affect these children. "Lily, I don't know what's happening with your parents, but I do know one thing: you're not alone. You have each other, you have your grandma, and now you have me too." "Really?" asked Emma. "Even after this bet is over?" "What bet?" asked Daniel, confused. "Grandma's bet. That if you could get us to sleep, she'd pay you." Daniel had completely forgotten about the amount Victoria had offered. In the last few hours, his concern had been entirely focused on the girls' well-being. "Emma, no matter about any money, I care about you four. And when we care about someone, we don't abandon them." "Promise?" asked Olivia. "I promise." "Even if we get into mischief?" asked Ava. "Even if you turn the ranch upside down?" laughed Daniel. The girls laughed too, and finally seemed to truly relax. "Now shall we try to sleep again?" he suggested. "Okay," they agreed. Daniel restarted the breathing and visualization technique. This time, the girls seemed more receptive. Gradually, their breathing deepened, and he noticed Olivia had fallen asleep. But as he was leaving the room, he heard Ava whisper, "Uncle Daniel, can you leave the hallway light on?" "Of course, sweetheart." "And the door open." "That too." "And can you stay just a little longer?" Daniel returned and sat in the chair beside the bed. "How long do you want me to stay?" "Until we fall asleep," said Emma. "All right." He stayed there, watching the four girls fight against sleep. It was clear they were exhausted but also afraid to give in to rest. After a few more minutes, Ava and Lily also dozed off. Only Emma still resisted, her eyes half closed, struggling to stay awake. "Emma," Daniel whispered, "why don't you want to sleep?" "Because..." She hesitated. "Because when we sleep, sometimes we wake up and the people are gone." Daniel's heart broke. This child had developed insomnia from abandonment anxiety. "Emma, I'll be here when you wake up. I promise." "How do I know it's true?" Daniel thought for a moment. "How about this? I'll sleep in the living room on the armchair. If you wake up during the night and want to check if I'm here, you can come see. Okay?" "Really?" "Really." Finally, Emma let sleep take over. Daniel stayed a few more minutes watching the four girls sleep. They looked so small, so vulnerable. How could adults be so blind to these children's needs? He left the room, leaving the door open and the hallway light on, as promised. But instead of heading to the living room, he went to the porch and called Victoria. "Hello?" she answered, her voice tense. "Miss Victoria, it's Daniel. The girls are asleep." "Already?" she asked, surprised. "But it's only 10 at night." They were exhausted. "Miss Victoria, may I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "Why are these children so afraid of being abandoned?" There was a long silence on the other end. "I don't know what you're talking about," she finally said. "Miss Victoria, these girls don't sleep because they're afraid of waking up to find everyone they love gone. That's not normal for a child." "They've always been dramatic," Victoria replied, but Daniel sensed defensiveness in her voice. "Dramatic or traumatized? Mr. Daniel, I hired you to make them sleep, not to give me parenting advice." "You're right, but I care about these girls now, and they need stability." "They'll have it. Tomorrow I'm taking them to another boarding school, a better one." "Another school?" Daniel couldn't hide his indignation. "Miss Victoria, these kids have been expelled from 3 schools. The problem isn't the schools." "Then what is?" "They need family, affection, someone to stay with them." "I don't know how to handle children," Victoria admitted, her voice breaking. "Then learn, they're your granddaughters." "You don't understand," she said, starting to cry. "I can't get attached to them." "Why?" Because they'll leave too." "Everyone leaves." Daniel began to understand. Victoria wasn't being cruel. She was protecting herself. "Miss Victoria, where are these girls' parents?" They're sorting out some problems." "What kind of problems?" "Personal problems." "Are they separating?" Victoria stayed silent for a long moment. "Yes," she finally whispered. "They're separating, and neither of them wants to take the girls while this is happening." "What do you mean they don't want to take them?" "Each thinks the kids will get in the way of the separation process, so they asked me to look after them until they sort everything out." "And you don't want to?" "It's not that I don't want to," she said, crying harder now. "It's that I don't know how. I wasn't a good mother to my daughter. How can I be a good grandma?" Daniel understood everything at once. Victoria was dealing with her own guilt and feelings of inadequacy, on top of the pain of losing her husband, and now her daughter's separation. "Miss Victoria, do you want to help these girls or not?" "Of course I do. They're all I have left of my family." "Then come back here. Now." "Now? But it's almost 11 at night." "Now. These girls need to know that at least one person in their family won't abandon them." "But they're asleep." "Not for long. Emma will wake up soon to check if I'm still here. And when she does, it'd be good if you were here too." I don't know." "Ms. Victoria, do you want your granddaughters to grow up thinking they don't deserve to be loved? Because that's what's happening. No, she exclaimed. Of course not. Then come back here, and we'll talk about how to really fix this situation. But I don't know how to talk to them. I'll help, but you have to try. Daniel heard Victoria take a deep breath. All right, I'll come back. But you have to really help me. I promise. After hanging up, Daniel went back inside the house. Just as he'd predicted, he found Emma in the living room looking for him. Uncle Daniel? She called, her voice sleepy. I'm here, little one. You woke up? Yeah? I had a bad dream. Want to tell me? Emma walked over and sat on the couch beside him. I dreamed I woke up and everyone was gone, even the horses. But they're not. I'm here, and the horses are in the stable. Can I go see? Daniel smiled. That girl was sharp. You can, but let's put on some slippers first. They walked out together into the yard. The night was clear, full of stars. The horses were calm in the stable, some sleeping standing up, others lying in the straw. Do they really sleep standing up? Emma asked, fascinated. Some do. It's so they can run fast if they need to. Like us? Daniel looked at her, struck by the comparison. What do you mean? We don't sleep right either, so we can run if we need to. Emma, what do you have to run from? From being abandoned again. Daniel crouched in front of her. Emma, you know it's not your fault, right? When adults leave, it's not because you did something wrong. Then why do they go? Sometimes adults get confused and think they need to solve their problems alone. They don't realize they're hurting you. And Grandma, why doesn't she want to stay with us? She does want to. She's just scared. Of what? Of not being good enough for you? Emma thought about that for a moment, but she hasn't even tried yet. Exactly. That's why I talked to her just now. She's coming here. Now? Emma asked, surprised. Now, she wants to talk to you. About what? About really staying together. Emma's eyes filled with hope, but she quickly closed off again. What if she changes her mind again? Then we talk again as many times as it takes. Uncle Daniel, do you promise you won't give up on us? I promise, Emma. I won't give up on you. They heard the sound of a car approaching. Emma hid behind Daniel, nervous. Is that her? She asked. It is. Victoria stepped out of the car, her eyes red from crying. She hesitated when she saw her granddaughter awake. Emma, what are you doing awake? I had a nightmare, replied the girl, still hiding behind Daniel. Oh, said Victoria, unsure what to do. Miss Victoria, Daniel spoke up, why don't we talk inside? Emma, can you call your sisters and cousin? They're asleep. Then let's let them sleep. You can speak for all of them, can't you? Emma nodded, feeling important with the responsibility. The three went inside and sat in the living room. Victoria seemed extremely uncomfortable, avoiding direct eye contact with her granddaughter. Emma, Daniel began, your grandma has some things to say to you. What kind of things? Asked the girl, suspicious. Victoria took a deep breath. Emma, I want to apologize. For what? For not being a better grandma to you and your sisters. Emma looked at her grandmother in surprise. Grandma, you're not mean. You're just away from us. Yes, and that's not right. You deserve a grandma who's here. Why were you away? Asked Emma, with the curiosity typical of children. Victoria glanced at Daniel, who encouraged her with a nod. Because I was scared. Scared of what? Scared I wouldn't know how to take care of you properly. Scared you wouldn't like me. Scared of getting attached and then you leaving. Emma processed this. But Grandma, we're not leaving. We have nowhere to go. The child's simple words hit Victoria like a punch to the gut. She started crying again. You're right. You have nowhere to go and I keep sending you away. What a terrible grandma I am. Emma hesitated for a moment, then stood and moved closer to her grandmother. Grandma, you're not terrible. You're just sad. How do you know? Because I get sad sometimes too, and when I'm sad I also want to be alone. Victoria looked at her granddaughter with admiration. "You're very smart, Emma. Uncle Daniel said you're sad because you lost Grandpa. It's true. I miss him so much. I miss him too, even if I don't remember him well." Victoria opened her arms and Emma stepped into a hug. It was the first real hug they'd shared in months. "Emma, do you think your sisters and cousin would forgive me too?" "Of course. They just want someone to stay with us." "And would you like to stay with me, for real, not just for a few days?" "Forever," Emma asked, her eyes shining. "Forever? Even if we misbehave?" "Even then. And even if we cry sometimes?" "Especially if you cry, then I can comfort you." Emma smiled for the first time since arriving at the ranch. "Then yes, we want to stay with you." "And I want to stay with you too, very much." Daniel watched the scene with emotion. It was a start, but an important one. "Now," he said, "how about we go back to bed? Tomorrow you can continue this talk more calmly." "Grandma, will you sleep here too?" asked Emma. "If you want." "We do," the girl exclaimed. Victoria looked at Daniel gratefully. "Mr. Daniel, thank you so much. You helped me see what I was doing wrong." "You weren't doing anything wrong, Ms. Victoria. You were just scared, and fear is overcome with courage. And you gave me courage." Emma yawned, finally relaxed. "Can I sleep between Grandma and Uncle Daniel?" Daniel laughed. "I think your grandma would rather sleep with all four of you in the big bed." "That's true," Victoria agreed. "It's been so long since I've slept with you." They went to the bedroom, where the other three girls were still fast asleep. Victoria carefully lay down, and Emma snuggled beside her. "Grandma," she whispered, "will you still be here when we wake up tomorrow?" "I will, my dear. I promise." "And the day after?" "That too." "Forever?" "Forever." Emma finally closed her eyes, peaceful. Daniel watched from a distance as the family came together again and felt deep satisfaction in his chest. But his peace was interrupted by the ringing of his phone. It was almost midnight. "Hello?" he answered, stepping away from the room. "Mr. Daniel, this is Michael, the girl's father." Daniel tensed immediately. "Good evening. Is something wrong?" "I wanted to know how my daughters are doing." "They're fine, asleep." "That's good. Mr. Daniel, I need to tell you something. My wife and we've decided to reconcile." Daniel felt a mix of relief and worry. "That's great for you. And the girls?" "That's what I wanted to talk about. We want to pick them up tomorrow." "Tomorrow?" Daniel glanced at the room where he had finally managed to reunite the family. "Yes, we've worked things out and want our daughters back." "Mr. Michael, may I make a suggestion?" "Go ahead." "How about you come here tomorrow to talk to the girls? They've been through a lot these past few weeks. A more gradual transition would be good." "Are they okay with my mother-in-law?" Daniel hesitated. He didn't want to lie, but he also didn't want to complicate things. "They're adjusting, but it would be important for you to talk to them in person." "All right, we'll be there tomorrow morning." Agreed. After hanging up, Daniel grew concerned. Miss Victoria had just reconciled with her granddaughters, and now their parents wanted to take them away. How would the girls react to another sudden change? He decided not to tell Miss Victoria anything that night. He'd wait until morning when everyone could talk calmly. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, morning arrived with the crowing of roosters. Daniel woke up in the living room armchair, where he had fallen asleep to give the family privacy. When he got up, he heard laughter coming from the kitchen. He found the 5 most important women in his life making breakfast together. Miss Victoria was teaching the girls how to make cheese bread, and they were all covered in flour. "Good morning, Uncle Daniel," the 4 shouted in unison. "Good morning, girls. Did you sleep well?" "Very well," said Olivia. "Grandma stayed with us all night. And she told us stories about Mommy when she was little," added Ava. "And she promised she won't send us away anymore," said Lily, hugging her grandma. "And she said we can live with her forever," Emma finished, beaming. Daniel looked at Miss Victoria, who smiled with a happiness he hadn't seen the day before. "It's true, Mr. Daniel. I've decided to change my life completely. I'm selling my company and devoting myself entirely to my granddaughters. Daniel's stomach twisted. He needed to tell her about the parents' call, but didn't know how without shattering the happiness that had finally come to the family. Miss Victoria, may I speak with you privately? Of course. Girls, keep making the cheese bread. We'll be right back. They stepped out onto the porch. Daniel told her about Michael's call and watched as Miss Victoria's face slowly fell. They want the girls back? She asked, her voice trembling. They want to talk this morning. But yesterday they didn't want them. Why the sudden change? It seems they've reconciled. Miss Victoria sank heavily into a chair. I knew it. I knew it was too good to be true. Miss Victoria, calm down. Maybe they'll understand the girls are happy here. Or maybe they'll take my granddaughters away the moment I finally learned how to be a grandma. Daniel didn't know what to say. The situation was truly complicated. What do we do? Miss Victoria asked. We talk to them. And most importantly, we listen to what the girls have to say. Do you think they'll want to leave? I don't know. They love their parents, but they're also traumatized by so many changes. At that moment, Emma appeared on the porch. Grandma, why do you both look so sad? Victoria and Daniel exchanged glances. Emma, said Daniel, I need to tell you something. Is it good or bad? The girl asked, suspicious. I don't know yet. It depends on how you feel about it. Emma called the other girls. When they were all gathered, Daniel took a deep breath. Girls, your parents called last night. The 4 little faces lit up immediately. Mommy and Daddy? Asked Olivia, excited. Are they back? Asked Ava. Where are they? Asked Lily. Easy, girls, they're not back yet, but they're coming here this morning to talk to you. About what? Asked Emma, always the most suspicious. About you going back home with them. The girls fell silent for a long moment, processing the information. They won't separate anymore, Sophia finally asked. Apparently not. And they want us back? Asked Ava. They do. Even after sending us away? Asked Lily, her voice tiny. Daniel didn't know how to answer that without hurting the children even more. Lily, sometimes adults make wrong choices when they're confused. That doesn't mean they don't love you. But if they loved us, why did they send us away? The girl insisted. Because they thought it was better for you to be away from the fights. But it wasn't better, said Emma. It was worse. We were even sadder. I know, sweetheart. And I'm sure they know that now too. The girls fell silent again, each lost in her own thoughts. What if we don't want to go? Emma finally asked. The question caught Daniel by surprise. Why wouldn't you want to go home with your parents? Because now we have Grandma, said Olivia. And Uncle Daniel, added Ava. And Cinnamon and the other animals, said Lily. And here no one sends us away when things get hard, Emma finished. Daniel looked at Victoria, whose eyes were filled with tears. Girls, she said, her voice trembling. You are your parents' children. Your place is with them. But we're also your granddaughters, protested Olivia. And you promised you'd stay with us forever, Ava reminded her. And I'll keep that promise, said Victoria. Even if you live with your parents, I'll always be here for you. But it won't be the same, said Lily, starting to cry. No, it won't be the same, Victoria agreed. But maybe it can be even better. How? Asked Emma. Because you'll have your parents and your grandma, and when you need me, I'll be here. Daniel admired Victoria's maturity. She was putting her granddaughter's needs above her own desires. And I'll be here too, he said. Whenever you want to visit Cinnamon and the other animals. The girls seemed a little more comforted, but still worried. What if Mommy and Daddy change their minds again? Asked Emma. Then we'll talk about it when the time comes, said Daniel. One thing at a time. They heard the sound of a car approaching. The girls ran to the window. It's them, shouted Olivia. Mommy! Daddy! Ava and Lily yelled at the same time. But Emma stayed where she was, watching her parents get out of the car with a cautious expression. Emma, aren't you going to greet your parents? Asked Daniel. I will, but first I want to see if they came to stay or to leave again. The wisdom of that 7-year-old child continued to amaze Daniel. Michael and Jennifer stepped out of the car and walked toward the house. They looked different from what Daniel had imagined, younger, more fragile, more unsure. "Daddy, Mommy!" 3 of the girls shouted, running to hug them. Emma walked slowly, watching her parents' reaction. "Hi, Emma," said Michael, crouching to her level. "We missed you so much." "Did you really?" she asked, with the blunt honesty of a child. Michael and Jennifer exchanged an awkward glance. "Of course we did, sweetheart," said Jennifer. "You're our daughters." "Then why did you send us away?" Because we were going through a hard time and thought it would be better for you to be away from it." "But it wasn't better," said Emma. "We were sad and scared." "We know, honey." "And we're sorry for that," said Michael. "Sorry doesn't erase the sadness," Emma pointed out. Daniel was struck by the girl's emotional maturity. "Emma's right," he said, stepping forward. "I'm Daniel Thompson. We spoke on the phone yesterday." "Nice to meet you, Mr. Daniel," said Michael. "Thank you so much for taking care of our girls. It was a pleasure. They're amazing kids." "They really are," Jennifer agreed, "and we made a terrible mistake by pulling away from them." "What matters is that you recognize that," said Victoria, joining them, "and that you won't repeat the mistake." "Mom," Jennifer said to Victoria, "we owe you an apology too. We shouldn't have dumped all the responsibility on you." "You didn't dump it," said Victoria. "I just didn't know how to handle the situation." "But now you do," said Olivia. "Grandma learned how to be a real grandma." "It's true," Ava chimed in. "She made cheese bread with us and told stories." "And promised she'd never send us away again," Lily added. Jennifer looked at her mother in surprise. "Mom, you really have changed." "These girls taught me how to be a grandma," said Victoria, "and they taught me that family is more important than anything else." "We learned that too," said Michael. "That's why we decided to reconcile, and why we came to get our daughters." "But wait," said Emma, "did you reconcile just because of us?" Michael and Jennifer faltered at the question. "Not just because of that, honey," said Jennifer. "We also realized we still love each other." "But if you love each other, why did you fight so much?" "Because sometimes people who love each other hurt one another without meaning to," Michael explained. "And you won't hurt each other anymore." "We'll try not to." "But what if you do?" Emma pressed. "Will you send us away again?" Michael and Jennifer exchanged glances, realizing they had no answer. "Emma," said Daniel, "how about we all sit down and talk this through calmly?" They gathered in the living room. The girls sat together on the couch, the parents in armchairs, Victoria in another chair, and Daniel stood, mediating the conversation. "All right," Daniel began. "I think everyone here wants what's best for the girls, right?" Everyone nodded. "Then let's hear what they have to say about what's best for them." "Emma," he said, addressing the group's natural leader, "what would you like to happen?" Emma looked at her sisters and cousin as if silently consulting them. "We want to stay with everyone," she finally said. "What do you mean?" Jennifer asked. "We want to stay with Mommy and Daddy, but also with Grandma and Uncle Daniel." "But that's not possible, sweetheart," said Michael. "We live in the city, far from here." "Then why don't you move here?" Olivia asked. "Because our jobs are in the city," Jennifer explained. "So your jobs are more important than us?" Ava asked. Jennifer was speechless. "No, of course not," she finally said. "Then come live here," insisted Lily. Daniel noticed the girls were trying to keep the whole family together, and he admired their wisdom. "Girls," he said, "how about we think of creative solutions?" "Like what?" asked Emma. "For example, you could live in the city with your parents during the week while they're working and spend weekends here with your grandma. That way, you'd have time with everyone." The girls exchanged glances, considering the proposal. "What about school breaks?" asked Olivia. "During breaks, you could stay here longer," suggested Victoria. "What if we want to come here sometimes in the middle of the week?" asked Ava. "You could come whenever you want," said Daniel. "And if Mommy and Daddy start fighting again?" asked Lily. The question left everyone silent. "Lily," Jennifer finally said, "if we start fighting again, you can come here right away, we promise." "Really?" the girl asked. "Really?" confirmed Michael. "And we also promise we'll go to therapy to learn how to solve our problems without fighting." "What's therapy?" asked Olivia. It's when adults talk to other adults to learn how to handle their feelings better, Jennifer explained. Like how we talked here last night, asked Emma. Exactly, Daniel smiled. Just like you all talked here. Then it's okay, said Emma, but on one condition. What? Asked Michael. You have to promise you'll never send us away again when you're upset. You have to talk to us first. We promise, Jennifer and Michael said at the same time, and promise you'll let us come here whenever we want? We promise. And promise you'll take good care of Grandma when we're not here? Victoria smiled at her granddaughter's concern. We promise that too, said Jennifer. Then it's settled, concluded Emma. We'll go with you, but only the way Uncle Daniel said. Weekdays in the city, weekends here, confirmed Olivia. And long breaks here, added Ava. And if you fight, we'll come here right away, said Lily. Michael and Jennifer looked at each other, then at their daughters. It's a deal, said Michael. But you have to promise us one thing too. What? Asked Emma, suspicious. Promise you'll talk to us when you're sad or worried, instead of keeping it all to yourselves. The girls exchanged glances. We promise, said Emma, but only if you promise you'll really listen. We promise, said Jennifer. Daniel watched the family making agreements and felt deep satisfaction. Those children had taught the adults important lessons about communication, trust, and commitment. Well, he said, I think we have a deal. But how about we take it slow? How about you stay here today, spend the day together, and then talk about when you want to go to the city? Good idea, agreed Victoria. That way you can get to know the animals and the place where your daughters will spend weekends. And we can show you everything, said Olivia, excited. And you can meet Cinnamon, added Ava. And the pig Bacon, laughed Lily. And Uncle Daniel can tell the story of Princess Cinnamon, said Emma. Daniel smiled. Those girls had found a way to include everyone in the new family arrangement. The rest of the day passed in a lighter atmosphere. Michael and Jennifer toured the ranch, helped care for the animals, and joined in the daily chores. Daniel realized they were loving parents. They had just lost their way in their own problems for a while. That afternoon, while the girls played in the yard with their parents, Victoria approached Daniel. Mr. Daniel, I wanted to thank you. Why? For helping me find my family again. You did that all on your own, Miss Victoria. I just gave you a little nudge. It wasn't just a little nudge. You made me see I was wasting my chance to be a grandma because of fear. And you had the courage to change. I did. And do you know why? Because these girls deserve a brave grandma. Daniel looked at the 4 girls playing with their parents in the yard. They sure do, and now they have one. And they also have an honorary uncle who genuinely cares about them. Daniel smiled. That's true. They managed something I thought was impossible. They made me want to have a family again. You lost your family, didn't you? Daniel nodded, not elaborating. Some pains were too hard to share. Well, now you have a new family, said Victoria. We all consider you part of the family. Really? Really? These girls talk about you like you're their real uncle, and I consider you a very special friend. Daniel felt his heart warm. It had been a long time since he'd felt part of something bigger than himself. Thank you, Ms. Victoria. That means a lot to me. At that moment, Emma ran up to them. Uncle Daniel, Daddy wants to know if you can teach him how to milk the cow. Daniel laughed. Of course I can. Let's go. The evening was filled with laughter, learning, and discoveries. Michael turned out to be more sensitive than he seemed, and Jennifer showed a sense of humor her daughters had inherited. When dinner time came, everyone helped prepare the meal. The girls taught their parents how to make the cheese bread they'd learned from their grandma, and Daniel made a free-range chicken that was a hit with everyone. Uncle Daniel, said Lily during dinner, are you going to miss us? A lot, he answered honestly. But we'll come back every weekend, Olivia reminded him. And during vacations we'll stay here for a long time, added Ava. And if you miss us too much, you can call us, said Emma. You really can, Jennifer agreed. And you can call us whenever you want to. Really? Asked Lily. Really, Michael confirmed. In fact, how about we start a tradition? Every night before bed you call to say goodnight to whoever isn't with you. What a great idea, exclaimed Victoria. That way, no one will feel forgotten. The girls loved the idea. and Daniel realized this family had found a healthy way to stay connected, even when physically apart. After dinner, it was time to decide when they'd go to the city. "Girls," said Jennifer, "when would you like to come with us?" "Tomorrow?" asked Emma. "If you want to," said Michael. The girls exchanged glances, communicating silently as they often did. "Okay," Emma finally said. "But first, we want to spend one more night with Grandma and Uncle Daniel." "Of course," Jennifer agreed. "And we'll stay here too, to start getting used to this new routine." "You're staying here?" Olivia asked, surprised. "If you don't mind," said Michael. "We don't mind," they all exclaimed at once. Daniel smiled. This house, which just 2 days ago had been home to only a lonely man, was now full of life and love. That night, bedtime was completely different from before. The girls didn't resist sleep, weren't afraid, didn't feel anxious. They settled into the big bed with their grandma, while their parents slept in the guest room. "Uncle Daniel," Emma called as he was saying goodnight. "Yes? Thank you so much." "For what, sweetheart?" "For taking care of us, and for teaching Grandma how to be a real grandma, and for showing Mommy and Daddy they can be a family again." Daniel felt his eyes fill with tears. "Thank you so much to you too, Emma. You've taught me it's never too late to have a family." "We're your family now, Uncle Daniel," said Olivia. "Forever," added Ava. "Even when we're far away," said Lily. "Forever," Daniel agreed. He left the room with his heart overflowing with emotion. In the living room, he found Michael and Jennifer whispering. "Mr. Daniel," Michael said, "we'd like to make you an offer." "What is it?" "We'd like to help financially with improvements to your ranch," Jennifer said. "That's not necessary," Daniel protested. "Of course it is," Michael insisted. "You'll be hosting our girls every weekend. It's only fair we help with the expenses." "And besides," Jennifer added, "you've given us an invaluable gift. You brought our family back together." Daniel was moved by their gesture. "You don't owe me anything. Getting to know these girls has been a gift to me." "Even so, we want to help," Michael pressed. "How about we renovate the guest room for the girls? We'll build bunk beds, paint the walls, add some toys. And we can install internet here," Jennifer suggested, "so video calls will be clearer." Daniel realized accepting their help would allow the parents to be part of this new family dynamic. "All right," he agreed, "but only if you let me help with the work. This is my home and I want to prepare it for the girls." "Of course," Michael smiled. "It can be our family project." "Great idea," Jennifer agreed. "And we can teach the girls some basic renovation skills. They'll love feeling useful." "You're right," Daniel said. "Those girls do like feeling important." They talked a bit more about the practical details of their new routine. It was decided the girls would go to the city on Monday to enroll in a new school, this time a regular one where they could come home every day. "What if they don't adjust to the new school?" Daniel asked, concerned. "Then we'll find another one," Jennifer said. "What matters is that they feel safe and happy." "And if they miss the ranch too much during the week?" he asked. "Then they'll come stay here for a few days," Michael said. "We'll figure it out. The important thing is they know they have options." Daniel was impressed by the parents' change in attitude. They had truly learned to put their daughter's needs first. "You've changed a lot in such a short time," he observed. "The separation and reconciliation made us rethink our priorities," Jennifer explained. "And seeing how much our girls suffered from our absence was a wake-up call. We realized we were so focused on our marital problems that we forgot to be parents," Michael added. "But now you remember," Daniel said. "Now we remember," Jennifer confirmed, "and we won't forget again." The next morning, Daniel woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of laughter from the kitchen. He found the whole family preparing a special breakfast: pancakes, fresh fruit, orange juice, and the girls' famous cheese bread. "Good morning, Uncle Daniel." All four cheered when they saw him. "Good morning, girls. What's all this?" "It's our last breakfast all together here," Emma explained. "So we wanted to make it special," Olivia added. "And everyone helped," Ava said. "Even Daddy made pancakes," Lily giggled. Daniel looked at Michael, who was wearing a floral apron that was clearly Ms. Victoria's. "How did the pancakes turn out?" Daniel asked. "A few stuck to the pan," Michael admitted, laughing. "But some of them are edible." "What matters is that he tried," said Jennifer, kissing her husband on the cheek. Daniel was happy to see that the couple truly seemed to have resolved their problems. There was genuine affection between them, not just a forced reconciliation for the sake of their daughters. After breakfast, it was time to say goodbye. The girls made sure to bid farewell to all the animals, promising to return on Friday evening. "Cinnamon," said Emma, stroking the brown mare. "We'll be back soon. Will you take care of Uncle Daniel for us?" The mare shook her head as if agreeing, making the girls laugh. "Bacon," Olivia said to the pig. "You can't overeat while we're gone, okay?" The pig grunted in response, earning more giggles. "Uncle Daniel," Ava said, stepping closer to him. "Thank you for everything." "Thank you, girls. You've changed my life." "For the better?" Lily asked. "Much for the better," he confirmed, hugging all four at once. "We've changed too, haven't we?" Emma observed. "How so?" "We're not sad anymore, and we're not afraid." Daniel realized she was right. Those girls who had arrived 2 days earlier, traumatized and unsure, were now confident and happy. "That's true," he agreed. "You've changed a lot." "It's because now we know we're loved," Olivia said. "And that we won't be abandoned again," Ava added. "And that even when we're apart, we're still a family," Lily finished. "Exactly," Daniel smiled. "You've learned that family isn't about being in the same place. It's about caring for each other." The girls also said goodbye to Victoria, who shed a few tears but was visibly happy. "Grandma," Emma said, "promise you won't be sad again?" "I promise, my dear. How could I be sad knowing you'll be back every Friday?" "And that we'll call every day," Olivia reminded her. "And that we love you," Ava said. "And that now we're a real family," Lily concluded. When the car finally drove off, Daniel and Victoria stood in the yard, waving until the vehicle disappeared down the road. "Mr. Daniel," Victoria said, "thank you so much." "For what?" "For giving me back my granddaughters, and for teaching me it's never too late to change." "You did all the hard work, Miss Victoria. I was just here." "No, you did much more than that. You believed in them, and in me." Daniel smiled. "You know what I think, Miss Victoria? I think these girls came here to teach us that family is built with love, patience, and presence, not with perfection." "You're right," she agreed. "And now we have a beautiful family." "We sure do." They walked into the house, which suddenly felt very quiet. But it wasn't a sad silence. It was a silence full of expectation, hope, and love that would continue even from a distance. Daniel glanced at the room where the girls had slept and smiled. On Friday, he'd be waiting for them with open arms. And on Sunday, when they left again, he'd know it was just a see you soon, not a goodbye. For the first time in many years, Daniel Thompson didn't feel alone. He had a family that had arrived unexpectedly through a strange bet, but now held a permanent place in his heart. And Victoria Reynolds had learned that being a grandma wasn't about being perfect. It was about being present, patient, and loving unconditionally. Lessons 4 brave girls had taught her in just 2 days. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. 6 months later, Daniel's ranch had completely transformed. The girls' room was painted light yellow, with 2 new bunk beds and a bookshelf full of books and toys. The internet had been installed, allowing daily video calls with their family in the city. But the most significant changes weren't physical. Daniel had started smiling genuinely again, finding purpose in life. He took care of the ranch, always thinking of ways to make it more welcoming for his borrowed granddaughters. Victoria had moved to a smaller house in a nearby town, just 20 minutes from the ranch. She had sold her business and now worked as a consultant, with flexible hours that allowed her to spend more time with family. Michael and Jennifer had kept their promises. They attended couples therapy regularly and had learned to communicate their problems without involving the girls. The girls' new school was perfect for them, and they had made new friends. But most importantly, the girls were thriving. There were no more nightmares, no more abandonment anxiety. They knew they were loved, that they had a safe place to return to, and that their family, even if spread out, was solid. On a typical Friday, Daniel was in the yard waiting for the family car to arrive. At 5 o'clock sharp, as always, he heard the sound of the engine approaching. "Uncle Daniel!" the four girls shouted at once, jumping out of the car before it even came to a full stop. "Girls!" he laughed, opening his arms for 4 simultaneous hugs. "We brought a surprise," said Emma. "What kind of surprise?" "We learned how to bake a cake at school," said Olivia. "And we brought the ingredients to make it here," added Ava. "For you and for Grandma," said Lily. Daniel looked at Michael and Jennifer, who were stepping out of the car carrying bags. "How was your week?" he asked. "Great," Jennifer replied. "The girls got excellent grades at school. And they did a presentation on rural life," added Michael. "They talked about the ranch, the animals, about you." "About me?" "Yeah," said Emma. "We told them how you taught us that family is built with love, and how Grandma learned to be the best grandma in the world," said Olivia, "and how Mommy and Daddy started loving each other for real again," said Ava. "And how now we have the most special family ever," concluded Lily. Daniel felt his eyes fill with happy tears. What did the other kids think? "They were jealous," Emma laughed, "because we have 2 homes, one in the city and one in the country. And because we have parents and a grandma and an honorary uncle," added Olivia. "And because when we're sad, there's always someone to talk to," said Ava. "And because we learned that love never ends even when people are far away," said Lily. Just then, Victoria arrived too, driving her new car, a simpler, more practical model than her old luxury one. "Grandma," the girls shouted, running to hug her as well. "My darlings, how much you've grown this week," she laughed. "We didn't grow in a week, Grandma," said Emma with her unrelenting logic. "Oh yes, you did," Victoria insisted. "Every day you get a little wiser." "Just like you," Olivia observed. "What do you mean?" "You get wiser every day too," explained Ava. "This morning you knew how to make that cookie recipe you didn't know last week." "That's true," Victoria chuckled. "We never stop learning, do we?" "Never," the girls agreed. They walked into the house, which now had family photos scattered in every corner, photos of the girls with the animals, photos of everyone together during Sunday lunches, photos of special moments that had become precious memories. "Uncle Daniel," Lily said, tugging his shirt, "do you want to know something?" "I do." "We talked and decided something." "What did you decide?" "We want you to marry Grandma," she said, smiling innocently. Daniel nearly choked on his own saliva, and Victoria blushed deeply. "Lily?" the other 3 exclaimed. "Why?" the girl asked, confused. "Because you don't ask for things like that," Emma explained. "But why not?" Lily insisted. "They like each other. We like both of them. It would be perfect." Daniel and Victoria exchanged glances, embarrassed but smiling. "Girls," Daniel said, "what your grandma and I have is a very special friendship." "But friendship can turn into love," Olivia pointed out. "The teacher said the best marriages start with friendship." "That's true," Ava agreed. "And you've already been friends for 6 months." "And you take care of each other," Emma added. "And you make us happy together," Lily concluded. Michael and Jennifer watched the scene, trying not to laugh. "Girls," Jennifer said, "how about we let Uncle Daniel and Grandma decide this on their own?" "But they're kind of slow with these things," Olivia protested. "Adults really are," Ava agreed. Daniel and Victoria laughed at the girl's sharp observation. "Well," Victoria said, still blushing, "how about we make that cake you brought?" "Good idea," Daniel agreed, grateful for the change of subject. But as they all prepared the cake together in the kitchen, he couldn't help but notice how Victoria had become a constant, comforting presence in his life, and how right the girls were about so many things. That night, after the girls had fallen asleep, easily, as always happened at the ranch, the adults sat on the porch to talk. "Mr. Daniel," Michael said, "we have a proposal." "What is it?" "We're thinking of buying some land nearby," Jennifer said, "to build a weekend house." "Really?" "Really," Michael confirmed. "The girls are happier here, and we also love the peace of ranch life. And this way we could all spend more time together," Jennifer added. That would be amazing, Daniel said. But are you sure? It's a big change. We're sure, Michael said. These girls have taught us what really matters in life. And we don't want to waste any more time away from family, Jennifer said. Victoria smiled. I think it's a wonderful idea. What about you, Daniel? I think it would be perfect, he agreed. There's always room for more family here. They kept talking about plans and possibilities. Daniel realized his life had become everything he never knew he wanted, full of love, laughter, purpose, and family. On Sunday, when it was time for their weekly goodbye, the girls weren't as sad as they used to be in the early months. Uncle Daniel, Emma said, we're coming back on Thursday. Why Thursday? Because it's a school holiday, they all explained at once. That's great, he smiled. I'll prepare something special for you. What? Olivia asked, curious. Surprise, Daniel winked. Ah, that's not fair, Helena protested. Oh, it's totally fair, he laughed. You love surprises. We really do, Lily admitted. During their goodbye hugs, Emma whispered in Daniel's ear, Uncle Daniel, have you thought about what we said about Grandma? Daniel looked at the clever girl. Maybe, he whispered back. Maybe is almost yes, she smiled. It's almost, he agreed. When the car drove off, Daniel and Victoria stood in the yard again, waving. Ms. Victoria, he said once the car was out of sight. Yes? The girls aren't completely wrong about us, are they? Victoria smiled, blushing slightly. No, they're not, she agreed. So maybe we should talk about it? Maybe we should, she agreed, taking his hand. Daniel smiled. Those 4 girls had come into his life through a strange bet, but they had given him far more than he could have imagined. They had given him back his family, love, and the joy of living. And maybe, just maybe, they were right about one more thing too. As they walked hand in hand toward the house, Daniel thought about how life can change in unexpected ways. 2 days that had started with a simple proposal, getting 4 girls to sleep, had turned into the most important adventure of his life. An adventure that had only just begun. On Thursday, when the girls arrived for the long weekend, they found Daniel and Victoria holding hands on the porch, waiting for them with huge smiles on their faces. I knew it, Emma shouted, jumping out of the car. We knew it, the other 3 chimed in. Are you getting married? Olivia asked excitedly. We'll talk about it, Victoria said, hugging her granddaughters. With us too, Ava asked. Of course, Daniel replied. You're part of this family. You have to agree with everything that happens in it. We agree, they all exclaimed at once. They haven't even heard the proposal yet, Jennifer laughed. We don't need to, Lily said. We know it'll be good. Everything Uncle Daniel and Grandma do together is good. Daniel looked at his family, because that's what they were now, his family, and felt his heart overflowing with gratitude. It had all started with a bet. If you can get all 4 to sleep, I'll give you my paycheck. But it had turned into something far more valuable than any amount of money. It had turned into love, family, home, and happiness. Daniel Thompson had won far more than $15,000 that night. He had won a lifetime of love and purpose, and 4 very special girls had gotten what they'd always wanted, a family that would never abandon them, no matter what. Sometimes the best gifts come wrapped in unexpected ways, and sometimes, to find what truly matters in life, all we need is the courage to open our hearts to love. The end. Now tell us what you thought of this heartwarming story. Do you believe Daniel and Victoria made the right choices? And did the girls finally find the stability they needed? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. We love reading every single one. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss other touching stories like this one.